Welcome back to the Acoustic Shop. I am Jeremy and this is John, and today we're going to compare two octave mandolins in what we like to call the octave gong. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Acoustic Shop. Today we're going to be doing a comparison and contrasting of two octave mandolins.
Contrasting
and comparison.
Huh. Comparison?
Right? Anyway, did you catch that little thing I did about the octave gong?
Yeah, I caught some of that. I didn't think it was very funny, but I guess if you think it's funny, it's funny.
Anyway, today we're going to have a battle royale between a sub $800 octave mandolin, fine instrument, and then a Weber, what would be the opposite of sub?
Above?
Nearly $5,000 Weber mandolin. We're going to compare what you get between the two, what differences you're going to find in here, and just kind of see what you guys think between the two.
Sure.
So with the Eastman, what are we talking about?
Well, we'll start here with the Eastman MDO305. What makes this kind of a really great instrument? It's a newer product, came out about 2 years ago. An instrument, like Jeremy said, falls under $800. Still is going to give you a great mandolin, but it's not going to be the same as a Weber, USA build. So first thing and foremost is, with this mandolin, it's going to be built in China. That one is?
This one's built up in Oregon, so this is a U.S. build. Another big difference between the two that we should point out right up front is this is an F-style body, so you can see all the scrolls and points. Even in the mandolin market, most anybody knows that probably adds 40% to the cost of any instrument. It adds a lot because I've asked builders about this, it almost doubles the amount of time they have in a build. There's so much more work put into carving the scrolls, getting the points to line up, doing the binding on them. It just adds a lot of hours to that. So
sure.
That's one big comparison.
Absolutely. Another big thing that, to compare, I guess, would be the tuning machines on this particular instrument. This one has a basic, I believe, ping tuners. They're good tuners. Don't get me wrong. They do hold tune pretty darn well, but they are not to the level of those. I believe those look like the Grover tuners. I
believe so, and they're going to be just a little bit more of a step-up tuner, so a little smoother gears. I think you've got a few more teeth in there, and just built a little bit stronger. So
cast versus pressed out, yes. Those kind of things. Definitely
an
give you a
upgrade,
little bit. Definitely a worthwhile upgrade. Now, one thing that they both have in common, they do both have a cast tailpiece. Obviously, that one
has a W on it.
Yes, has a W.
Which wouldn't really make sense on the Eastman.
It would be very, very strange. But that is one good thing that Eastman has been great about is using now. I think they've upgraded all of their tailpieces up to a cast tailpiece, including on the MDO305.
Which I love for a couple reasons. They're much more durable. For the teeth on them don't break off, and I think that extra mass down there just helps get a little bit more vibration to the instrument, so you're getting a little bit more tone.
Now this does have a spruce top and a maple back and sides, as that one has a...
I believe this is an Adirondack spruce top on this, if I'm not incorrect, and also a mahogany back and sides.
That's right.
A couple extra things they do on this. We talked about the extra carving done in the scrolls. Weber is just known for like this really detailed relief. You can imagine when you're cutting a piece of wood like this, not wanting to mess that up because you can't put it back if you mess it up. So it takes a very skilled luthier to do some of these extra. They're almost to show off the craftsmanship, but they take those steps that are a little bit risky, I would think, if I'm building this, and it's such a fine point you don't want to mess that up.
It is.
So just kind of a little example of the extra care. This one has the bound fingerboard.
Yeah. Not bound on this one.
Yeah, the other one has a bound top. This one has a bound fingerboard as well.
So another thing I love about Eastman guitars and mandolins is they are an all hand-built instrument. Do a very, very good job of hand voicing, tap toning, almost a boutique style of build. So they do hand carve these, and you can tell. Yeah. Some of the mandolins in the sub $1,000 price range, you get that. You can definitely hear when something has been voiced and tap tone. And again, being that they are an import company, it does get help with their price point, so you do get a lot of value for the money. Now, it's a different process from what Weber does with their voicing.
I tell a lot of customers when they're asking why that matters, especially on a mandolin, you have so much downward pressure on this arch top on these that a lot of those sub $800 mandolins, they're almost scared to have a top that, if you had a bunch of piles of wood and they're all different trees, they're organic, they're going to have different densities. If they all said, well, let's go for the best tone on this piece of wood, and then they build them all to that, some of them they're going to be soft piece of wood, and that top is just going to collapse. And I have seen that happen before. So a lot of these other guys say, well, let's just go on the err on the side of caution. We're going to go to that.
We'll build heavy.
Yeah, we're going to build it heavy to the weakest piece of wood, and then even a dense piece of wood, we're going to do that thick, and then you get a lot of inconsistency, and they're just a little muffled. They don't have the tone.
Let's delve into that a little bit further, because one of the cool things about whenever we're hand voicing or thinning out a top is we're dealing with a natural piece of wood. It's a natural source. So every single piece of wood, even in the same billet. I remember watching another luthier talk about this. They could have the same billet of spruce, do a slice for this. Now, that next slice that they use for the next piece of top will have a wider or more narrow grain spacing. So with that wider spacing, it's going to be a little bit softer. It's not going to have as much strength or deflection in it. So now, with any instrument, we want to build it as thin as possible, but we want it to be structurally sound. Sonic-wise, the thinner it is, the more it's going to flex, and that's going to create the sound waves that we all hear. The thicker it is, it's going to have more strength. So every instrument has to play the game of how thin can I make this without taking away its structural ability.
And Eastman, you mentioned they tap tone it, which means before they assemble the instrument, they're holding up that top with the braces on it and actually tap around on it and listen for a resonant frequency that they've been kind of tuned their ear for and make sure it's even across the top. Where Weber went out and decided to marry that type of old school build to new technology, and they have a deflection machine where they put that top in there with the braces on it, and it actually has this little rod that pushes down on it, and it's measuring to like a tiniest degree how much deflection that piece of wood has at what pressure. And they can zero in on just about every piece of wood to get that optimal sound that they found, how much they need to take off that top to allow it to deflect to that amount, which gives them the correct balance between strength, durability, and then the ability for the top to just really vibrate and open up.
Absolutely, and that is the key. Anytime we talk about inexpensive instruments to higher end instruments, is being able to make the most out of that particular piece of wood
and consistently across all
and every instrument manufacturer, whether it is a $300 guitar all the way up to a $20,000 guitar, its goal is to create a more consistent product. You want the next one of this Bitterroot to sound as much like that as possible. And now with that technology, I'm sure you're seeing a much more consistent product.
Absolutely.
So there you have it. This has been kind of a good comparison. Like you said, we have the Octave gone, and I hope you have enjoyed your time in the Octave gone.
Hey, be sure and buy one of these before this Octave's gone.
That
was another pun.
No, that wasn't good. Anyway, it is a great opportunity for us, as well as you guys hopefully out there, to enjoy the fact that we have two different price points of Octave mandolins, and you can kind of hear it, because it is something that we hear at the shop a lot is there a value difference? Is there is it worth spending the extra money?
The answer is it depends.
Yes.
Like if you're really a performing musician or somebody that is just wanting like that step above tone-wise, playability-wise, it totally is. I would not say this is an overpriced instrument. It is absolutely worth every penny of that. If you're somebody that's a hobbyist and looking for an affordable way to play an octave mandolin, there's nothing wrong with that. They're stellar.
I think
your situation.
Yeah, it all depends on your situation. This is an instrument, again, we compare this a lot in the shop to buying a 12-string guitar. If that's your main instrument, you should spend a bunch of money on having a great quality one. But there's a lot of people in the guitar world that have a 12-string for 3 songs. And, Hotel California,
Two John Denver tunes.
Two John Denver tunes. And you got it right there. And in that case, you probably don't want to spend $4,000 for that. I think the same thing applies here. I think I want one of these. It would be a great addition to an instrument side for me to expand my horizons and come up with new ideas, a new palette, if you will, for songwriting, for stuff. And again, I would bring this into a session. I would bring this to a recording session and go, hey, I've got this in here. It's an alternative to what I have. But if I'm really looking for that precision instrument that matches up with a high-end standard mandolin, this is where I would definitely lean.
Absolutely. If I was in the studio with a real high-end mandolin and then say, hey, I want to pull out the octave, this would compete with it and still have that same tonal qualities. And also on stage, or just even in your studio by yourself when you're playing it, I think you're going to feel that quality and match up to your other main instrument a lot better. Hey, thanks for watching that video that we just did. I'm going to make this universal so we can use it on all the videos.
Good
I hope
plan.
you enjoyed that thing that I said. And if you'd like to see more things like that, then subscribe down below where it says subscribe. You'll be notified anytime we do another video.
And while you're at it, make sure to check out our website, theacousticshoppe.com. We have free shipping on most products and one of the best return policies in the country.
We know what it's like to buy an instrument online. You never know what you're going to get. When you get it, if you're not happy with it, send it back to us. We're not going to be mad at you.
No.
We'll be a little disappointed in you, but no. We want you to find the right instrument, and there's no way to know until you try it. So we encourage you to try it out, play it, and then if it's not the right fit, we'll find the one that is.
There we go.
Also, be sure to comment down below. We love to interact with you guys. It's not a one-way street here.
No.
You get to say things, we get to say things back to you. If we say mean things, we're going to say mean things back.
We may or may not do that. Anyway, we thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.